Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today, we're going to be looking at a new LickiLicky card. Although we do need to have a little bit of a look at Lickitongue as well. All will become clear, ladies and gentlemen. All will become clear. And, well, he's really proud of his retreat cost. It's a little bit weird. Now, our translation for this card does come from the lovely David Hockman over at Rappelman TCG, as well as the lovely Joe from Cerebi.net, an awesome website. You should be using it. So, with all of that in mind, let's start off by having just a little bit of a look at the basics. It's got 130 HP, which would be good against stuff like Silvally, but then the best Pokemon that really is hitting for 120 at the moment is Buzzwole, and you got a fighting weakness. And fighting weakness is bad, ladies and gentlemen. Really, really bad. Because you got stuff like Buzzwole, but then you got stuff like Pikarom. And Pikarom's got a weakness to fighting, and a bunch of people are trying to beat it by hitting it for weakness, which is, of course, fighting. And you see where we're going with this, ladies and gentlemen. It gets pretty gosh darn awkward, pretty gosh darn quickly. Now, it is a colourless Pokemon, so no extra tricks, unfortunately. And you're hitting nothing for weakness. But the good news is, you got a retreat cost of 4. And that means that you can use buff padding to get an extra 50 HP. It also means you can use Lickitongue and Pokemaniac. Lickitongue we'll get to later in this video. Pokemaniac coming up very shortly indeed. So, weirdly, we love the retreat cost here. Now, in terms of the attacks, the first one, we're not terribly excited. The first attack here for 1 colourless energy does 40 damage. It's just... I mean, look, but when this comes out, we're going to basically have lost Choice Band. You're not hitting anything for weakness. So you're actually doing 40 damage. It's not a lightning Pokemon. You can't use Electro Power. It's not a fighting Pokemon. You can't use Diancie Prism Star. No, ladies and gentlemen. You're actually just hitting 40 for a single energy. It's not good. Now, if we want a silver lining, if you happen to be against like a Ditto Prism Star, yay! But even an evolving Pokemon here, even something like an Inkay, you're just not even that close. And we're even losing Professor Kukui to the rotation, so you can't even use that. Frankly, ladies and gentlemen, we are spectacularly unexcited by this first attack. But that's alright, there is a second attack, and it does need some translation, but it is good. 3 colourless energy, which is mildly expensive, 90 damage. And you discard a random card from your opponent's hand. And you discard the top card of your opponent's deck. And you discard an energy from your opponent's active Pokemon. That's right. 1 card from their hand, 1 card from their deck, and an energy from their active Pokemon. Let's be perfectly clear about this, ladies and gentlemen. This is absolutely brilliant, and we love it. This is a really nice attack. It's got lots of different things going on. And kind of, you know, we've seen plenty of attacks over the years that discard an energy, or discard a card from their hand, or discard a card from the top of your opponent's deck. And this does all of them at the same time. That's pretty ridiculous. Now, the other thing is, we've got the rotation coming in here. So actually, this gets better and better. So if we look at getting rid of energy, the good news is that we are keeping Crushing Hammer for the rotation, but we're losing Enhanced Hammer. And we've already lost Team Flare Grunt to the previous rotation. Well, now you get to discard an energy. And let's not forget, we've got the Lycanroc Dusk Form GX, which discards an energy attached to the active. And now, all of a sudden, we could be building a little bit of an energy denial deck here. You could, in theory, be discarding an energy every turn with this, and then picking up the extra energy, well, largely just rocking and rolling with Lycanroc. Though we did, unfortunately, also lose Plumeria to the rotation. So you could play this as an energy denial deck, which is pretty good. Or you could play it as a disruption deck, as a milling deck. Because we're actually getting some pretty good milling options coming along. we've got Giovanni's Banishment. Now, Giovanni's Banishment lets you discard 2 undamaged Pokemon from your bench. But we've also got a Diglett coming, which says that if you discard Diglett using Giovanni's Banishment, you get to discard the top card of your opponent's deck. And we've got a Rhydon coming, which for 2 energy discards the top card of your opponent's deck, but if you play Giovanni's Banishment, or Banishing, you discard 4 more cards. So in theory, if you play a Giovanni's Banishing, get rid of 2 Diglett on the bench and then attack with a Rhydon, that's 7 cards discarded off the top of their deck. But you're not always going to be able to attack with a Rhydon. And this is a basic Pokemon, so this comes in rather nicely and has your back. This can help beautifully. But it's also hand disruption, and the hand disruption here can work very nicely as well. We looked at a couple of cards yesterday. We looked at both Arbok and Weezing that really help with the hand disruption. Arbok, if it's knocked out by damage from an attack, your opponent discards 2 random cards from their hand. And then, of course, we've got Jesse and James, which is a new supporter card coming, whereby both players discard 2 cards from their hand. But Coughing's got an ability whereby if you discard Coughing using Jesse and James, your opponent has to discard a 3rd card from their hand. So now we can be using this quite nicely. And what's really cool here is that you can use them all together. So Weezing is discarded from your hand using Jesse and James. Arbok you can attack, but you can leave it on the bench to be KO'd by damage if your opponent's spreading a bunch of damage around. And then you've got this, which will do it while you're attacking. So we've got pretty good hand disruption, along with pretty good milling, along with energy denial, and you can basically take LickiLicky as far as you want to go here. You could play it as all 3, or you can pick and choose. But the reality is, the great thing is, you can go for all of them. You can play Jesse and James and Weezing to do hand disruption, while playing Giovanni's Banishment and Diglett for a little bit of milling, maybe even a Rhydon, while also playing a few things like Lycanroc to get rid of their energy. And this becomes an extremely disruptive card. Now, the fact that you're doing 90 damage, if you were hitting for weakness, I would love it. Because it would basically one-hit KO any non-GX. And with a choice badge, you'd be up to 120, which doubles up to 240. Although that's kind of rotating when this comes out. And then we'd be fine, but it doesn't. It doesn't hit for any weakness whatsoever. To be fair, you can go into the expanded format and use the EVs like Flareon, which will change the typing of any Stage 1. But you're getting a little bit out there at that point. It is disappointing, ladies and gentlemen. It is a little bit disappointing. Now, the other thing we got to mention here is the energy cost. The energy cost is, let's say, euphemistically not ideal. 3 colorless energy, and we're not going to have double colorless in the format. You can put it in a Malamar deck. You can use Welder to attach a couple fire energy from your hand and then use your attachment for the turn. There are plenty of ways to do it, and it is colorless energy, so it can fit into any of these decks. But the important point to make here is that you've got to make the effort. You can't just play it, you've got to actually make the effort to play it. You've got to get into a position to play it. And that can be a bit of a pain. Now, I did mention we'd have a little bit of a chat about Lickitung here, and I meant that incidentally. So we can have a little bit of a chat about Lickitung here, because it's got one kind of interesting attack. Now, what it does, nice and simply, for just a single colourless energy, Sumo Draw, love the name there. Draw a card for each of your Pokemon that has a retreat cost of exactly 4. Well, Lickitung's got a retreat cost of 4, that's cool. Also, 100 HP on an evolving basic is fine. And then LickiLicky's got a retreat cost of 4. And then you could just fill your bench out with 4 retreat cost Pokemon. You could even go Magikarp and Wailord here if you really wanted to add a whole bunch of bulk to your bench. You don't have to, it's just an option. Gives up 2 prizes, but it does have 300 HP, so, you know, that's there. Magikarp and Wailord would help nicely. This is really nice draw, ladies and gentlemen. This is good. And it is each of your Pokemon in play, not each of your bench Pokemon. So if you fill your bench, Lickitung draws 6 cards here. That's like playing a Lily with 0 cards in your deck. That's like playing 2 How in one go. That's good. Drawing 6 cards as a flat thing is really nice. I mean, to put it into context, Lapras was a GX that for an energy drew 3 cards. This draws 6. Now you've got to fill your bench, and that's more difficult to do after rotation when we're losing a bunch of stuff like Nest Ball. But let's not bury the lead here, ladies and gentlemen. This is really good draw power. And if you can fill your bench nice and early, you are going to have a good time using this attack to do a bunch of drawing. So if we go back to LickiLicky here, let's give it between 3 and 4 Wassies. We don't give half Wassies. That would be barbaric. It's not a flat-out amazing card, and it is awkward in terms of the energy costs, and it is awkward that you're doing 90 damage, and you don't really have any good way to boost it. But you're discarding an energy, and you're discarding a card from the top of their deck, and you're discarding a card from their hand. Tell me there are not going to be some creative people out there that can make a disruption deck with this, because I can think of at least one that follows me on Twitter. He knows who he is. So that's what I think about LickiLicky, ladies and gentlemen, but I would very much like to know what you think about LickiLicky. So do let me please know in the comment section. Go nuts, but do remember the rule. Be nice, would ya? And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at @TheWassie, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. And please do make sure you check it out youtube.com/WassiePlays, where we talk about games that don't have Pokemon in. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.